We are live. You're watching the Merged Marketing Podcast. You're listening to the Merged Marketing Podcast, and this is episode 195. And in this episode, we're talking about social first video. And my guest on today's show is Adam Chandler. Adam, welcome to the show.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me. 195. I was just thinking that's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
a lot
so.
of podcasts. That's good going. That
I looked at that number too, and I was like, "Wow, we're getting up there." So, getting up to that 200 milestone coming soon. So, it's interesting because I mean, even historically with the podcast, I mean, we've touched on a lot of different types of topics relating to marketing. But one topic we haven't really dove too deep on is video. And you're the subject matter expert in this field. I had an opportunity to meet Adam in Barcelona at the International Social Summit, where he was also a fellow speaker speaking about the topic we're going to dive into today, and that's social first video. But before we get into that, Adam, maybe you can give our audience a bit of a background on what got you into marketing and video marketing in the first place.
Yeah, of course. So I started right at the start of my career. I left school, knew I wanted to make films and kind of do video, didn't know what kind. Started working in TV and worked on loads of different TV shows in the UK, which was great. Worked across about 30 different ones across like 4 different channels, which was great. But then when I was back home, I was just making kind of like short films for businesses. I did it for the local school, the local theatre, a charity, different things like that. And I loved that because in TV, you're kind of like, as much as you make great stuff, you're a bit of a cog. Whereas I found for businesses, you could really make a difference. You could see the impact it was having. You could be creative. You could really get stuck into it and really work with different people. So yeah, I just kind of set up as a freelancer making films for businesses, and it grew from there. And that's kind of how it started. It was kind of, a love for film, but I found my way into that. I loved also helping businesses with that.
It's always good to love what you do and make money doing it, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I found when I was at school doing media studies, I was just like, I quite like this. I don't think I ever thought it would become like a career, that there would be a business in that I'd get paid to do it like 10 years, whatever it is down the line. So yeah, really cool.
And you've extended now to working with international businesses, not just businesses in the UK, right?
Yeah. So we work all over. So we work with kind of UK national companies, but then we also work with companies like Netflix and Disney and Santander, who are obviously there on a global level. So yeah, lots and lots of different kinds of businesses across the globe. Yeah.
So dive into the specifics a bit in terms of the context and how you work with these businesses.
Yeah, so multiple different things. I mean, it's really everything that's going to help them grow and help them be successful. So one of the first questions I ask when someone goes, we've got a brief and we want to do this, I look at the why. Why are we going to make this? Why are we going to do this? There's no point just making a video to have a video. And when a business kind of approaches us that, we kind of go, well, what's the strategy? Where's it going to go? Is it to improve sales? Is it to improve efficiencies? Is it to keep people safe? Is it for brand awareness? What is it that we're doing? There's got to be an objective. Once we've got that, we can then really help businesses grow doing that while making the content creative, right? Because that's a lot of the reasons why they come to us. They've got a problem, but they go, we want to make it creative and we want to make it worth our time. So that's kind of the emphasis on it. It's creative content done really well with a purpose, so it has impact. And then that business goes away, and a few months later, we'll look at the results and go, that was a good thing we did. So that's kind of the drive behind everything that we do.
Is the majority of work you do on the producing end of it, or is it more on the editing?
Both. So we do kind of end to end. So it's everything from brief, creative, pre-production planning, scripting, storyboarding, all the production, whether it's animation or film. So we do animation and film, and then through to post-production, finishing it and giving all the different assets for wherever they're going to go on, whether it's social media, website, event, sales teams, whatever. So yeah, it's end-to-end production we do.
Cool. So let's dive into social first video. And first of all, give your definition of what you mean by social first video.
Yeah, so social first video is the topic I spoke about actually in Barcelona. So I thought it would be a good one to talk with you about, seeing as that's where we met. Social first video is simply, it is video content that is made specifically for social media. Kind of historically, people have made brand films or content that's being used across a TV ad or a corporate video, and then they've gone, oh, let's cut that up to 10-15 second chunks and use it over Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all sorts of different things. But what this is that when you receive a brief, or we shape a brief and we go, okay, the audience is hanging out on LinkedIn or the audience is hanging out on Instagram, this brief is simply making content for those channels. And it is designed and sculpted for that place. So it's going to perform the best it can, get in front of the people, engage them. And there's no like 2-minute brand film that's going to go on the website. This is a brief of content just for Instagram. And that is what we look at as social first film.
Okay. So if comparing producing like a corporate video for a commercial per se, and comparing that to LinkedIn, what are a few of the differentiators in creating that content?
Yeah, massive differences are, there's a few things. One is length. So people on social media want shorter and shorter content. So we're doing stuff that's 6 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, 20, 30 seconds. Another thing is there's a lot more vertical video. So we, you know, for TV and all sorts of stuff like that, it's 16:9, it's horizontal. But when you start getting into Instagram and LinkedIn and all sorts, you want vertical. But then that even becomes a science in itself, because making a piece of content for LinkedIn is very different to making that same piece of content for Instagram or Facebook or anywhere like that. So LinkedIn, you can get away with having content that's a bit longer, let's say 2 minutes, but Instagram, you want more like 15 seconds. So it really depends where the content's going. But yeah, quite a lot of differences.
In terms of the actual content itself, what recommendations do you give, in terms of the content itself for LinkedIn, specifically for LinkedIn or specifically for YouTube or specifically for TV? Are there a few things in terms of the scripting that would differentiate a piece of content from one platform to the next?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn's more kind of B2B, but no matter what, you're still advertising to people, right? So everything's got to be human. People buy from people. That's a big thing that we see. That doesn't mean that people need to be on camera or people need to be in the film, but it just means whatever narrative, whatever story you're telling, it needs to resonate with those people. But definitely more in a B2B world. So you'll definitely find on LinkedIn content's a bit more professional. You don't have as much user generated content, although there's a place for that. People expect it to be high quality film. They still expect it to have a call to action at the end and something to go and do, because most people who go on LinkedIn, I know some people now more than ever, I think, go on it as a bit of a social network, but people also do use it as a professional thing and go on to buy services or meet people or find out about the suppliers they're using or the clients they work with and stuff like that. So definitely keeping it that more professional edge, higher quality, key messages, because I think on LinkedIn there's a really active audience there that are listening. Basically, they're in there, they're in work mode, and they want to listen to what people are saying. So you can engage them and therefore get away with slightly longer content.
How much emphasis do you put on the metrics after you produce a video, put it live on LinkedIn, for example? What metrics are you looking at to determine whether or not a piece of content is a success?
Yeah, metrics are really important. I mean, there's how many people click play, but that doesn't really matter, because you could click play, watch 1-2 seconds and log straight off or something like that. And the amount of stuff that auto plays now, it might have started auto playing, but you've not, the person's not actually watched it. Let's say they've just kept scrolling. So a big metric is how much people have watched. Where are they dropping off? Are they dropping 20 seconds into the video? Are they dropping 40 seconds? Are they dropping at the end? Or is it right at the start? At that point, you can start to kind of look at, well, is it the story that's wrong with the video? Is something not resonating? Is it the right content on the right platform? And that's where you can make choices. But yeah, one of the big things is it's kind of average viewing length. How much of that content on average is being viewed, and where are the specific drop-off points people are kind of ducking out of it?
That's awesome. So that's good to know. And I'm sure you have some learnings as well as you're looking at a lot of these videos you're creating. You're seeing the typical drop-off point. You're seeing what's captivating that user to stick around for the extra 5 or 6 seconds. Is there any sort of examples you can provide, or things or trends that you're seeing in the videos that you're creating to keep that audience around for longer?
Yeah, it's definitely stuff. A high impact start is good, and getting straight to the message. Like, this is what we're talking about. We find, I think back in the day, and I'm saying back in the day, it was only a few years ago, you'd find most videos would start with the brand logo at the start with a background behind it, and the brand logo at the end with a background behind it. Nowadays, you do not want that at the start. It's fine at the end still, but at the start, you don't want it. That's almost 2 seconds wasted. Like, get straight into it. Get up front, punchy, whether it's the music, whether it's the visuals, whether it's the spoken audio, kind of get in their face with what you're talking about and engage them. And then once you've got that hook, you'll find people will go, oh, I'm kind of interested in this. And then you've got to keep that. It's every second counts is what I kind of say with film now, especially when you're doing 6 second, 10 second, 30-second ads. Every second counts. And it's amazing how much you can get across in those seconds. But the really key thing when we're talking about the metrics as well, and where we know it's been successful, is what did they do after? You know, did they click the call to action? Did they go through to the website? Did they buy the product? And that's really when you know if you've hooked them, if they've gone and done that. So yeah, but the upfront stuff is really, really important, and get those people hooked.
This year, more than ever, our agency is leaning into leveraging video views more so now than ever, because, you know, when we create a campaign, for example, on Meta, optimizing for video views, we're just telling Meta to put our ad in front of as many people as possible to have a tendency to watch at least 10 seconds or 15 seconds of a video, a through play. And once they take that action, well, now we have them in our audiences, and now that they're familiar with the brand, and now we can retarget them with an ad to deliver traffic to a website. So I think the hump that a lot of marketers or business owners need to get over is, like, you're not going to get results from this initial campaign straight up, but we're building an audience to breed results later on.
100%.
Yeah.
It's definitely, it's driving those people. It's getting that list. It's getting that data. But a lot of the time, I think with LinkedIn ads as well, it's the long game, right? You're not going to get it after a week or 2 weeks. It is the long game, and playing that, and it'll build up over time. Yeah.
Do you find that in terms of video content, do you recommend, having, a super polished, super professional video to run ads, or can business owners just create one from their smartphone? What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, that is a topic and a question we fight with every week. So it's, to be honest, the honest answer is there's no right or wrong. It's brand dependent, it's product dependent, it's business industry dependent, lots and lots of different things. User generated content is on the rise more and more nowadays. I think I shared a stat at the summit, which was something like 94% of people trust user-generated content more than any other form of content. However, it's something like over 80% of people still expect to be watching high-quality content all the time. So it's that blend of keeping it quality, but making it feel human and personable and user-generated and raw. And I think that's the big difference. So in answer to your question, my view is, doing stuff on your phone and making it yourself does work for some things. Professional quality content will 99% of the time outperform that kind of content. But then it really depends what the creative is. I mean, we've made some videos here as a production agency that have not been made on professional cameras, because that was the right creative solution for that brief to have impact, where we've made it more high quality, but it's not quite being shot on phones, but we've made it look like it's been shot on phones to get that vertical video, make it look user generated, and make it resonate with people. So professional will always win, but there's a place for the other side of it as well.
I would agree with you and say that I think there's a place for both. I think from a strategy standpoint, I think using that polished corporate video to really provide an impact for the brand, provide a good representation, professionalism. If I'm a user seeing, for example, an ad for a luxury resort, well, I need to see that drone content. I need to see some highly polished content, and then retargeting me with a user generated ad of somebody on the resort sitting by the pool having a cocktail, talking about how awesome that experience is.
Right? 100. And I'll give you a great example as well. There's a manufacturing business that we know, and they had some user generated content, which was just the business owner going around with his mobile, and he put it on LinkedIn and he put some spend behind it, and he was getting about 15 leads a month from it, which I thought was pretty good from that. And then he had a professional video done and he was getting like 50 to 60 leads.
Mm.
He said, "Oh, well, I'll turn the user generated one off." And I said, no. Keep that on as well,
Mm.
because you get the 50 to 60 leads from the professional one, but you may as well get those other 15 as well from your user generated one. So both work. It's just to varying degrees, right? So yeah, that I'm a massive
100%. And that's why, we always say, don't put all your eggs in like the blog posting basket. You know what I mean? Because some people like to become leads off of reading content. Some people like to become leads off of watching a video, maybe watching a YouTube video. So every user is different in the way they consume content and become a lead. So you can't paint every user with the same brush.
Absolutely. Everyone's different. And that's the great thing about it. You need to understand your audience, but everyone is different. So yeah.
Definitely. Do you find any big difference when you're creating content, video content for a North American market compared to a European market?
Not well, yeah. I mean, there are differences. We don't have loads of clients in the North American market, but we do have two. They're in the healthcare sector, so it's a bit because we don't have many healthcare clients in the UK compared to America. Weirdly, I don't know why. I definitely find that the content they want is a bit more hard hitting, a bit more, let's say, to the point, dramatic, get it across, really hit people. And maybe the content over here, we still get that, but yeah, it's maybe a bit looser over here, maybe a bit softer, potentially. Yeah. But that, again, just a caveat, we've only worked with two, so that might just be the brands we work with as opposed to
what? I think it's a very competitive landscape on this side of the sea. You know what I mean? In terms of putting out content, being aggressive, being the best. You know what I mean? Maybe, and I'm just speculating here, but maybe less emphasis on the actual know, like, and trust factor. That's important. Don't get me wrong. It's very, very important, but maybe more important on that side of the ocean. You know what I mean? Where you have to approach it a certain way.
Yeah, I would call the content we do for the North American companies more precise. Much more precise, much more to the detail. Yeah, it's but it works. It really works, So yeah, let's keep doing more of it. So yeah.
So tell me specifically about some of the platforms, social media platforms where you're creating that content and how you're gearing that content towards that platform. Talk about some of the differentiating factors there.
Yeah, so different platforms. I mean, there's more and more coming out all the time, but there's the ones everyone knows. There's Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We got Twitter, or it's X now, isn't it? Or is it still called Twitter? I don't
Twitter, know. X, Threads.
Threads has come out. There's TikTok.
Do you have Threads over there yet? I know there's a delay.
We do have Threads. I understood loads of people signed up and they never went on it again, but I don't know if that's the same over your side of the pond. I don't know, but
reminds me of Clubhouse a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, yeah, I get that. So yeah, but then how we tailor that across all those platforms, it's really about understanding audiences, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of people on TikTok now. It used to have a stigma of being just the younger people, but there are now many people on TikTok, many brands. But the truth is, in general, it is a younger audience on there compared to, let's say, Facebook, where it is a slightly older audience. And that's really about, we talk to brands about, if it's a brand that is advertising to, let's say, over 50s, they probably won't even have a TikTok account, right? So there's no point even thinking about it. But to kind of answer your question, what we do a lot is it's different edits for different platforms. So let's say we've got the same brand and they've got a Facebook account, a TikTok account, an Instagram account, and let's say a LinkedIn, just to give it as examples. Each 4 of those platforms will get a different edit tailored to that audience. So for example, the TikTok one might have a few more transitions in it. It might be faster paced, more upbeat, might be a bit snappy, a bit more vibrant, colorful, in your face, really grab those younger people. Whereas on LinkedIn, it might be a bit slower, a bit more professional, still got that side to it. Whereas Instagram, we might even take a bit of a risk and throw some user generated content in there. So slightly different edits per platform to tailor for the kind of audiences that are on them. So yeah, it's a big, it's like a maze sometimes when you look at the brand, the industry, the audience, the demographics, what platforms they're on. But yeah, what I say, if you whack the same edit on every single platform, you will not be as successful as doing different cuts for different platforms. So that's how it's approached.
Interesting. How often are you using the in-app edits to do those edits on like Reels, on TikTok? Are you doing it in-app, or are you doing it outside of the app and then using like a scheduling tool? What's your suggestion?
Yeah. So for us, never. So we don't actually do the posting or anything like that.
Got it.
But we always are obviously creating the content. But when we send that to marketing teams or to clients or agencies like your good selves, we don't know. I think sometimes, yeah, they'll put like in-app subtitles on it rather than, let's say, a subtitle file that we've sent them, because Instagram likes you doing that and it's a bit more native. So yeah, and I have also seen edits we've done and they've gone out and they've gone on Instagram, let's say, and then 6 months later the client posted what looks like a similar edit but not quite the same edit of that video, and I'm thinking they slightly chopped that themselves in Instagram. So like there's definitely some stuff going on with stuff getting chopped up in the apps. Yeah.
I do notice that when we post content natively in a platform, you'll 9 times out of 10 get more reach than posting from a third-party scheduler or something like that. I don't know. The apps, they like using the app for their edits, right? And obviously it blends into the algorithm, blends into the feed, and that's kind of what they want, right? So
yeah, you want to keep you on there, right? Yeah.
But we need the B-roll, right? And that's where the B-roll comes in, where a company like you can go out there and shoot a ton of content. And this is where I think there's a huge advantage there is that B-roll content that you capture. It's not garbage. It's not junk. This can totally be used for some great social media content.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh yeah. And there's so much stuff that goes on the cutting room floor that could be repurposed to a completely different message, a completely different campaign, a completely different whatever it is the brand wants to say. So yeah, there's loads of stuff there all the time.
Definitely. Adam, if our audience has any questions for you, what's the best way for them to get in touch?
Best way would be LinkedIn, probably on LinkedIn. So yeah, either my profile or the business page, but probably mine's best. Yeah, LinkedIn would be best, or even just through our website would be okay.
Awesome. And you want to give everyone the website?
Yeah, so it's reel REEL -film.co.uk.
Has nothing to do with Instagram Reels, by the way.
No, well, actually, we did it first, so I think they copied us.
Right.
That's the way around I go with it.
Definitely. Okay, Adam, we end every episode with the same question. That question is this: if you could choose one person, dead or alive, to represent your brand, who would it be and why? And why?
Oh, geez, I didn't prepare for this one. One person. Can it be fictional?
Sure. Be whoever you want it to be.
I'd go Jack Bauer from 24.
All right.
I just think he's badass. And I'm like, if I can get that guy, I know he's not real, but if I can get that guy representing my company, that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
You need to create a video ad for your own company with that same type of 24-hour sequence, the day in the life of a videographer.
Yeah, I should do some kind of 24 type edit of so something. But yeah, no, I think that's for some reason that's the first thing that came to my head.
I like it. If one last question here, who is your ideal client?
Ideal client is a brand that wants to grow, has a marketing team, could be using video, doesn't have to be using video, but ultimately wants to use video to grow what they do and have a business strategy and marketing strategy in place to help that.
Awesome. Adam, this has been great. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.